Before we begin, I would like to tell you that this is not a tutorial of how to make a website in, I don't know, WordPress or some other website maker. This is a video where I teach you how to make a free website with raw HTML. So you have been warned. Hello, I'm Kingpvz, welcome back to yet another video, yet another tutorial. And today I will tell you how to create your own website for free without using some stupid website designer which will place billions of ads on your website. And this is what we will need. The first thing we will need is a working email account. The second thing is a computer, and the third thing is internet connection. If you do not have any of the previously mentioned items, you should consider closing this video. Wait, how do you even watch this video if you don't have internet connection? Anyways, the first thing we will have to do is sign up for GitHub. Now, I already do have a GitHub account, but I will make a new one just for this video and maybe any future videos on the same topic. So I will actually walk you through how to create GitHub account and how to set up the web page before we actually get to making the web page. So we enter our email. Now your username is very important because this will actually be the name of your web page. You can only make one web page per account. So you will need to make a username which suits your web page. So I will call this one Stanley Cool. Yeah, whatever. Simply, my original site is called Kingpvz. This one is Stanley Cool. It can be anything. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Simply what you want to be your web page name. This username .github.io will be your new address. What is going on? Yeah, you need to prove yourself because only real people can have a web page. Alright, of course you verify your email and stuff. This is completely useless, so just pick whatever is true about you. I don't care. And I want the free version. The free version supports free web page, so why not? Alright, this is GitHub. What we have to do is click this plus icon here, which says create new, and we create new repository. And now we have to name this thing exactly the same way as our username. So stanleycool.github.io. If you name it anything else, it won't work. You need to make it public, and that's it. Let's create the repository. You will need to download GitHub desktop client in case you don't want to type git commands, and I don't. And GitHub Desktop is a very useful app, so download this. Click Setup in Desktop, and this will pop up. To clone a repository, you click Clone. If you go to the web browser, you will see this interesting page, 404. This isn't a GitHub page yet. We need to create it, so we will click the Show in Explorer. So we see all the files. Well, you will see something like this. It's pretty empty. Our job is to fill it. The first thing every single web page needs is an index.html. Make sure you're able to see extensions for known file types, and all file types in general you will need this. So simply go to File, Change Folder and Search Options, and here to View, and find Hide Extensions for known file types and turn it off. It's the worst setting that exists. Alright, so we have now created index.html. Now, it's completely up to you what kind of program you want to edit this with. If you are comfortable with regular Notepad, use Notepad. However, what I would say is a great tool, and I use it, is Microsoft Visual Studio. Well, because it just has everything it needs to. I think Visual Studio is great because it auto-completes everything pretty much. It gives you suggestions. The only problem with Visual Studio is that it opens forever. So I've learned patience. Here we go! Alright, so how to make an HTML document? It's very simple. First, you get a computer that can actually run when you press a keyboard. Alright, it works. So the first thing we need... Alright, so the first thing we do is add an opening bracket like this. It's a little arrow. Oh, it froze again. Then we add an exclamation point and write the word doctype HTML. This will simply tell this document identifier that this is indeed an HTML document. Alright, next we have to add the HTML tag. It will automatically get a closing tag if you have Visual Studio. If you don't, you will have to type this one out yourself. A closing tag is just a regular tag with a slash in front of it. The next part of our HTML structure is the head element. Again, this one needs to be closed. In case you have no knowledge about HTML, just copy what I'm doing. It would be good to take some lessons about it. HTML is really not difficult. After head, we add the body. Don't forget closing tags. So what is the head part for? This one is very good if you want to import different fonts, images, if you want to add a title for a website, title for a website, and if you want to add a favicon. The most important thing probably is the title. Again, it's a tag that needs to be closed. Between these two tags, you write your title. So the body is the actual visual part of your website. Everything you can actually see on the website is inside the body. So if I type in H1, this is a heading tag. Again, it needs to be closed. And write hello world and save it. I can open my index.html and you see hello world on the left side. It is not a website, but this is just to interpret how it actually works. This is of course not everything I will show you today, but it's now time to upload our website and publish it. You see, when we head back to the GitHub, we'll see all the changes we have done. And now we have to commit it to main. Of course, you always have to name your commit somehow, but since we only did a single thing, it's automatically named for us. We can just click commit to main and now publish branch. Doing this will publish your website. Don't forget, GitHub is pretty slow on this, so your actual website will show in like 3 minutes. Alright, it has been 17 minutes, but this is my fault. So simply, there is a chance that the pages will not be defaultly set up, which was probably the case here, because I set it up like 2 minutes ago because it was already weird that it takes so long and I had it turned off. So basically, when you go to the repository, go to the settings, then on the left side find pages, check the branch part. If you have it set on none, that's wrong. Click on none, choose main, and click save. That's it. Just letting you know, in case you will be struggling just like me, that it just doesn't work, this might be a reason why. But here we have the great preview of our very cool website. It contains hello world, nothing else. This is everything we set up. So, besides H1, which is the heading 1, there are also H2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Heading 1 is the biggest, heading 6 is the smallest. Then we have the P. This stands for paragraph. You can type whatever you want here, and if we save it, you see it looks exactly as it is supposed to. We can also use the B tag, which stands for bold, the I tag, which stands for italic, and of course we can combine all of these. Making this a button will, well, look like a button. You see, when I click it, nothing happens. So we need to surround the button in the A tag, which stands for anchor. We need to surround it, which means that the closing tag goes after the closing tag of button. After A, we will put a space with href equal sign. Visual Studio will automatically add quotes, but you need to add these quotes, inside of which we can add a website. Save this. Now we will refresh it, and when we click the button, look at this. This is my channel, obviously. Alright, now after this, we also have the BR and HR tags. These do not need closing tags, however, it's a good practice to add these inside of the tag. You do it by just adding a space and then a slash, and then you close the tag as a regular. BR stands for line break. HR is the same line break, but also draws a horizontal line, just like this. You see, there's a line, that's the HR. The last thing I would probably tell you about is IMG. This one also does not need a closing tag, but it's a good practice to add at least this, but you don't have to. This one uses the src with equal sign and quotes, and here we'll put a link of any image you want. This one, you click on the image so you get the raw link with JPEG or PNG or whatever, and you put it inside the src. So yeah, after you refresh, here it is, the happy birthday cake, which I have no rights to use, so pretend you have never seen it. But basically, this is just about the basic tags that exist in HTML. And that's it. You build a website with this. However, you see this website looks ugly. Very ugly. This is the ugliest website you've ever seen. And this is why we use a style sheet. Create a new file and I'll just name it style.css. And we open it. I will again open it in Visual Studio. You can open it in whatever you want. It's just plain text anyway. So before we actually start using it, we need to bind these together. So index.html knows that we want to get styles from this style.css. We do this in the head element. We use link. This is not a closing tag, so again you can close it like this, or you don't have to actually add the slash. It's up to you. Rel style sheet, because well that's what we are adding. Ref again equals style.css. This is well our name. Now it's time to actually do something in the style. You don't have to, but you should. Add an HTML tag. I will explain what I'm doing and add padding to 0 and nothing else. This is because websites automatically add padding to HTML and body for no reason, and then it all looks ugly. I don't know why they do this, but they do this. What I've done, this is how CSS works. Here you add the tag, what you want to actually style. Then you add curly brackets, and inside of this you add key value pairs or whatever, where the key is the property you want to change and the value is, well, the value. Anyways, we will add the body tag at the opening and closing bracket. We also add padding to 0 because it's defaultly also there. Now, what I like to do is with my web pages to add the background color to be black or simply something dark. Normally we write background dash color black. Now, you also have to change the text color now, which is just color to white. So it's actually visible because it's defaultly black. And you see, boom, the web page looks 10 times better. What I also like to do is add text, a line, and I will add center, so it's center. Now if I refresh, look at this, this already looks like a professional website. It doesn't, but it will. Now you can also do inline styling, which means that we just add a space after whatever we want and write style equals, and here we can write CSS. But don't forget that this style is exclusive to this image. So we'll, for example, add height to be 100 pixels and then width to also be 100 pixels. And it's very small. Let's make it 200 then. Look at that. Look at this birthday website. It's beautiful. Now, a lot of web pages and apps and everything have rounded corners. This is a very important thing because you see, these are sharp. We want this to be round. And this is why we continue in our style, border radius, and let's say 50 pixels. Look at this! Now you're talking. Now just added listing, a price tag, and you have a shop. Also what we can do is with the HR, we can add style. You see, you can add this style to pretty much anything you want. Margin left, which will only add margin to the left side. We want 150, margin right, 150, and look at this. You see we have created a gap. Padding and margin is used to create a gap. Well, padding is inside the element and margin is outside of the element. So we go to button, we add the style, and we add padding, and we'll make it 25 pixels. And you see this 25 pixels is now inside of the button. If we only want to make it from some sides, we can of course use the padding dash left, padding dash top. We can do this by writing like this: the top, a space, the right, a space, the bottom, a space, and finally the left. This. It looks exactly the way we want. So there's this shorthand also exists for margin and pretty much everything that has multiple values like this. So you can use that. The last thing I will probably teach you today is the div. The div element is also a closing tag, and when rendered on web page, it doesn't look like anything. That is because this is a container, which you can store things inside of. Now this div element will contain our image as well as another image. So now we have two images. What we can do is style this div element specifically. Only this div element, not all the others, only this one. We can do this by assigning an ID or a class. I will go with ID equals hi. Now in style.css we will add a tag hi. Now here we will go with padding. You'll see it has a spacing which we wanted, but what I also want is every image inside of the div to have a spacing in between. I can do this by assigning each of these images a class. Now I'll go to style.css and create a .divmg, which stands for the class of divmg, and we can already reuse our existing styles because both of these images have the exactly same style. Now we will also add margin 10 pixels. What we will do on the final is add a background color of red to our div. Yeah, currently it looks like this, which is super ugly because I used padding and not margin because I'm an idiot. And we will also add a border radius 50 with the fit. What I've done here is I made the width of the div element to be as wide as the two images inside. Now a weird thing happens, the div element, because it's not considered a text, will not be centered as everything else. So what we have to do is that this idiot has no idea how CSS works. So instead, go back to the margin you already have and add the following: auto 20 pixels and auto. This will simply set the left and right margin to auto, which will make them equal, which will in fact center this element. With this, if you combine all of the knowledge you've gathered from this video, you will be able to make a simple web page. The last thing, which is very interesting, is how the actual web page works. So if I copy, paste this one, and let's just call it a cake. Now I will go back here, and when I press the first cake, and now it's ref a cake. And now I will open my cake HTML. I've copied it, so it already contains exactly the same things as the index. But what I will do, change, is delete everything from the body, because the only thing I want in the body is this image of the cake. So if I now open my cake, it will only contain a single cake. Now after I save everything and refresh this one, you said this one is clickable, this one is not. If I click it, of course this one will only work on the actual web page. It will not work here in this environment unless you add the .html. But yeah, it will work on the web page. So I guess this is done. We are done. We have added everything, and this is also how it works. So if you click this, it will be the website / a cake, and yeah, it just contains a cake. It's about nothing, but yeah. What have we learned from this video? We can make web pages pretty easily if we understand it. Feel free to watch this video 10 times and you will learn the basics of HTML, or you can just watch someone actually doing an HTML tutorial. Now we will just wait until GitHub realizes what we've done. We have to add summary, so we will just add made cake or something. We commit it to main. The name doesn't mean anything as soon as you're the only one who actually changes and manages the website, alright? And now we have to wait until it actually commits, and now we have to push the origin, and we will see how our website changed from our basic hello world to whatever we'll witness in a second. You can already close GitHub because we will no longer need it. This video is almost over. This is the last thing we're gonna showcase. Look at that beauty! And if we click, everything works the way it's supposed to. My YouTube. So there is a basic website, but what else do you need? And if you take long enough, your website might even look something like this. I will teach you more in the next episode. So in case you enjoyed this is not a generic tutorial, this is really complicated bullshit, but like, yeah, it's for the better of yours, so you can actually make your own website. One thing to note is that GitHub only supports 500 megabytes if you have a free website. So this is our final code. Feel free to write it down yourself in your own editor and try maybe doing something interesting with this. I will link both the web page I've created and the GitHub repository in the description of this video, so you can check the code yourself. That's it from me. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!